اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, all of us are struggling with our life even during this lockdown. The only thing that every one of us wants and asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to return back our life to normal. The life in which we took so many things for granted, the life in which we were complaining. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through this test make us value all the ni'mah that He has given us, so that we will appreciate everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon us. As a Muslim, my dear brothers and sisters, we are informed that we would be facing a very difficult day on the day of judgment. On the day of resurrection, the sun would draw so close to the people that it would be left only with a distance of 1 mile. The people would start to sweat and perspire according to their deeds. The perspiration would reach the level of their ankle, for some the level of their knee, for some the level of their wrist, and for some they would even drown on their perspiration. This is the hadith of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The only way to be rescued from the difficulties on that day is to obtain the grace and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me share with you 2 hadith which relates to our current situation that would help us on the day of resurrection. The first hadith reported by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala an, which says, Man nafasa an mu'minin kurbatun min kurbid dunya nafasallahu anhu kurbatan min kurbid yawm al-qiyamah. The meaning of the hadith says, whosoever relieves a believer's distress in this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will rescue him from the difficulty in the hereafter. Subhanallah. As a Muslim, my dear brothers and sisters, we should strive to help each other when we are in need and remove any difficulties of others are facing. During this pandemic, we are hearing news that many of us are losing their jobs. They are in financial difficulties, and there are families with so many children sharing one PC and finding it difficult to manage on their online education. We may do our utmost to help this situation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us an opportunity in this situation to be helpful to others. We may do so by giving them advice, sharing our wealth, making dua for them, and even directing them to the correct authorities where they can seek help. If we do so, my dear brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises to reward us with a much better thing, that is the removal of a difficulty on the day of judgment. We can see that caring for a Muslim or anyone not only strengthens the relationship of brotherhood and sisterhood in this dunya, but it also helps in the hereafter. We are taught not to take things negatively and think negatively in any part of our life. We Muslims are positive people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you and me and blessed us with Islam. Allah says in the Quran, Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You are the best nation produced as an example for mankind. Ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhawna 'anil munkar. You encourage what is right and forbid what is wrong. وَتُؤْمِنُوا billah, and believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should, my dear brothers and sisters, take the lead at this point of time, during the crisis, to show what true Islam is about, through our fine akhlaq in helping others, staying positive with patience and perseverance, increasing our trust and ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with confidence. Everyone should see us as a source of goodness. So let us show the entire world the beauty of the Quran through obeying the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let us show the entire world the beauty of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam by following the Sunnah. Let us show the entire world the beauty of Islam at this time of crisis. The second hadith, which I'm going to relate to you, is reported by Adi bin Hatim, in which the Prophet ﷺ says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will surely speak with every one of you without an interpreter. And he, mankind, will look to his right and see nothing but the good deeds that he had done. And he would look to his left, and he will see nothing but only the good deeds that he had done. And he would look in front of him. There would be nothing but except the burning flame of hellfire. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then gives us a beautiful command on this. So protect yourself from hellfire by giving in charity even half a day. And he does not find it, then with a kind word. We can divide the hadith into three portions. The first portion in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us the horror on the day of the resurrection, where we will be facing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to account for everything that we have done. Allah says in the Quran, لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. You will be asked on every ni'mah, every blessing that was given to you. And the second thing that we note from this hadith is everyone should spend according to his capacity in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the form of sadaqah. In this way, good manners like good conversation is also a means of his salvation. We go to another hadith reported by Abi Musa radiallahu ta'ala anhu, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, every Muslim should give charity. And they ask, Ya Rasulullah, if someone has nothing to give in charity, what should he do? Then the Prophet advised, he should work with his hands and benefit himself and also give charity. Then the people asked, what if he cannot even do that? And the Prophet replied, he should help the one needing help. And they asked again, what if he cannot do that? Then the Prophet replied, he should perform all that is good in the religion of Islam and keep away from all that is evil. And it will be regarded as a charitable deed. And the third thing that we learn from this hadith is that the only thing that could help us on the day of resurrection is our amal or good deeds. Let me relate to you a story about a king and his three commanders. He wanted to find out who among the three commanders would be able to be promoted and assume greater responsibility. So one day, he called all three of them into his court and told them and gave them a task. The task was to bring a gunny bag to the jungle, fill it with fruits, and come back. The first person, he was a very lazy person. What he did was, he knew the king is not going to check the bag. And he was very sure that he's not going to put in any effort on this task. And he went to the jungle and he filled up all the garbage that was on the floor and filled up this garbage bag and brought it back to the courtroom. The second person was not as lazy as the first one. He went to the jungle and took whatever he can from the floor, the fruits that were rotten, that were overripe, and filled up his bag and came to the courtroom. The third person was quite obedient. He just followed what he was supposed to do. And he went to the deepest of the jungle and collected the freshest of the fruit and brought it back to the courtroom. What happened was the king immediately told his commanders that they will be in prison for 3 months. The condition is they will not have any food or water when they are in the prison. Obviously, from this story, we know that the first person who had garbage in his bag was the first one to die, and the second one lived slightly longer than the first one because all the fruits that he had already been overripe and was not edible, and the one who succeeded was the first one who had the fresh fruits and he lived longer. The lesson that we take from this story, my dear brothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the king, and he has given us a task, and the task is very simple: to do amal saleh, to do righteous deeds. He has told us in the Quran in many verses, be sabiqul khairat, rush to do good deeds. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba radiyallahu ta'ala and showed us by example doing good deeds and earning the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be like the first, be like the commander who brought back all the good deeds which benefited him. The good deeds are the ones which are going to benefit us after our death. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the smallest surah, Surah Al-Asr, which everyone memorizes, and which he says the 4 qualities of a person who would be successful in this dunya wal akhirah, and that is amanu, they believe in Allah, wa amilu salihat, they do righteous deeds, wa tawasaw bil haqq, they encourage truth and encourage patience, wa tawasaw bis sabr. So my dear brothers, it is upon us to do charity as well. This is something which is very important, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very pleased with the person who does charity, and we know charity is going to save us on the day of judgment. Always remember, my dear brothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls himself Ash-Shakur. Ash-Shakur is the most grateful, the most appreciative, the rewarder of good deeds, the one who is most thankful for righteous and bestows great rewards for good deeds, the one who gratefully gives large rewards even for a small amount of good deed, the one who acknowledges and rewards all for goodness, thankfulness and praise, the one who frequently and greatly approves, rewards and forgives. This is the character of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Spend for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In tansurullah yansurkum, if you help Allah, Allah will help you. How do you help Allah? When there's a need for the restoration work in a mosque, just like ours, Masjid Abdul Gafoor, we are in need for your help in the restoration and upgrading works. So help Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will help you. Allah will remove the stress in this world and hereafter. As been reported in the Hadith al-Qudsi, Anfiq, ya ibn Adam, yunfiq alayk. Spend, O son of Adam, and you will be spent on. So, my dear brothers, take every opportunity to do sadaqah in our life. Do not wait for Ramadan. Insha'Allah, Ramadan is approaching. All of us are waiting to be most generous in the month of Ramadan. But always remember, Ramadan will come, but we do not know whether we can meet Ramadan. It is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you have this intention to make a donation to our mosque Masjid Abdul Gafoor, Allah knows your intention. Just make the sadaqah in this month of Sha'ban, and Allah will reward you for the sadaqah of Sha'ban and Ramadan. So my dear brothers, take every opportunity before shaitan comes and whispers into our hearts to change our mind. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who would be able to reach Ramadan and do good deeds and earn His pleasure. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.